morning, sir. You were the first person to go into Kremlin after Alaska?
Not the, as the first foreign minister.
Yes.
Foreign minister to visit Russia and I guess so.
And met Putin.
Yeah, I guess so.
What is the sense you got of that conversation? Everybody's linking us to that conversation as well.
Well, there were two parts to it. I mean, one part of it was our own relations, and we have a practice of annual summits with the Russians. We are planning one at the end of the year. So a lot of it was devoted to what would happen there. It's an annual exercise. That's how the relationship grows. And I'm like the account keeper for the non-military side of it. So the way it is divided is defense minister manages the military side. I do the rest. So a lot of it was devoted to what would happen, what's happening in our relationship, where are we going, what will we do, things like that. And there were some good developments. I think our trade has grown a bit. We would like to grow it further. There's been some mobility of people. We would like to see that increase. We want more market access in Russia, things like that. The other part of it, of course, was the global picture, and particularly since President Putin had come out of Alaska, so he spoke to me about his views on, what was happening. And so,
could you give us a window or an understanding of how that conversation has gone and how it's looking in the ground since you're coming from there?
Well, obviously, I'm constrained in many respects in doing that. But, I mean, overall, look, where we stand, we've been very clear from the very start that we would like to see an early end to the conflict. We've also taken the view that in any conflict, it's for the parties concerned to sort it out. Okay? Now, in this particular case, because the parties concerned are also comfortable and the Americans took the initiative, we've been supportive of the efforts, because we are supportive of any efforts which would bring about that change. Now, it is a very complex, complex situation there, because there are military complexities, there are political complexities, there's a whole history there. It involves, NATO, European Union. So there are a lot of moving parts there. So it's not as simple as sometimes it appears, in the media. But, overall, as I said, our good wishes are there for an early end to the conflict on terms which obviously the two sides have to settle.
Mark the Alaska round as good progress as far as you know?
Certainly I think it would be a fair assessment, and you don't need a meeting with President Putin to say that. I think it was visible that in Alaska a lot of things were talked about and some things were agreed about. So to that extent, yes, it was progress.
Yesterday, the co-chairs of our Intergovernmental Commission noted that last year the bilateral trade volume increased by 15% and set a record high in the post-Soviet history of the relations between Moscow and New Delhi. We welcome the progress in implementation of the project of an international transport corridor north-south. Here we have a shared interest with our Indian friends, and we agreed to encourage and promote this work with other participants of the project. There are plans to enhance transport through the Northern Sea route and many other things. We have good outcomes and good results in our cooperation in terms of hydrocarbons and Russian oil supplies to the Indian market, and we share the interest of implementing joint projects in order to produce energy sources, including in the Russian Federation, in the Far East and in the Arctic. On the whole, the economic foundation of our special and privileged strategic partnership is developing incrementally and progressively, and it stresses the special nature of our relations. We are convinced that development of this strategic partnership is in the fundamental interests of our peoples and contributes to international and regional security and stability, which is quite important in these days challenging conditions on the global arena.